What is LTV? How is it measured? And why do most brands get it wrong? Hey everyone, welcome back to another mini episode of the Free to Grow CFO Podcast, where I break down one key concept that will help your D2C brand increase profit and cash flow as you scale. I'm your host, Jon Blair, founder of Free to Grow CFO. And today, we're going to dive into a well-known but often misused D2C metric, LTV. All right, so first, what is LTV? If you've been in the D2C world for any amount of time, you hear this term get thrown around all the time, usually by marketers, right? LTV is the value that a customer represents to your brand over time, right? So when you acquire a customer, in the first month that you acquire them, they're a new customer. And in the first month that you acquire them, their first order, unless they order twice in the first month, but generally the amount they spend on their first order is their LTV. But as they come back and they purchase over time, they repeat purchase over time, their LTV increases. The value that customer represents to your brand over time increases as that customer comes back and repeat purchases. So LTV is the cumulative value that a customer represents to your brand over time. Now, how do you measure it? This is where brands go wrong, honestly, I think 99% of the time. If you look in Shopify or TripleWhale at the cohort analysis that exists with any of those platforms or any other platforms that give you a cohort model, oftentimes what is called LTV in those models is actually what we call at Free to Grow CFO LTR, lifetime revenue, because it's measured in the average amount spent per customer within a given cohort over time. So let's definitely not call revenue, amount spent per customer, LTV, because it's not. It's lifetime revenue. Why is it not lifetime value? Because your brand doesn't keep 100% of the revenue value, right? You keep your margin dollars on that revenue value. So you should actually measure LTV in margin dollars. What margin? Some people call this fully loaded gross margin. We at Free to Grow call it contribution margin before ad spend. Effectively, you take revenue, you subtract landed product costs, shipping and fulfillment costs, and then credit card and merchant fees, not ad spend. So whatever that margin is before marketing, whatever that percentage is, you want to multiply that by your LTR, lifetime revenue, the amount spent per customer in a given cohort. That then gives you the margin dollars, right? The cumulative margin dollars that customer cohort represents to you over time. So we always want to and need to express LTV in terms of margin dollars, and that's margin before ad spend. The next thing that's really important in defining LTV is it must be time bound. You can't just have a non-bound LTV. It needs to be, what is the 30-day LTV? What is the lifetime value of that customer cohort over a 30-day period? What's the 60-day LTV? What's the 90-day LTV? What's the 120-day LTV? So now that you understand these things, let's take a step back here and say, how do you use LTV in a meaningful manner to make decisions within your business? Well, one of the most important things is to take a time-bound LTV and compare it to your CAC, which is the cost per customer that you spent in ad spend to acquire that customer. And as soon as accumulated LTV and margin dollars surpasses the CAC for that cohort is now profitable. So let's say we say the 60-day LTV for a cohort is $50. The CAC for that cohort was $55. So at the end of 60 days, that cohort is still turning a $5 loss. $50 LTV minus $55 CAC. Let's say that the 90-day LTV for that brand, measured again in margin dollars, is $65 and the CAC was $55. Now that CAC has a $10 contribution margin dollar profit at the end of 90 days. So the reason I'm breaking this down for you is because it's very, very important to understand what LTV is and isn't so that you can calculate it the right way to actually assess the profitability of a given cohort. If you were to use LTR, lifetime revenue, you would think potentially you wouldn't be able to measure the profitability of a given cohort against CAC. So in summary, LTV is the value a customer represents to your brand over time in margin dollars, and it must be time bound. It must be expressed in a number of days.